Dear Aunt Flo is a podcast about bad periods, and I'm your host, Elisa Michelle. Every month, we'll dive deep into my own vagina monologues as I discuss my journey with endometriosis and share stories that we wish someone would have warned us about sooner. I am your new period BFF, so let's get comfortable speaking about our cycles. I feel like you know it's real when I put the headphones on. Hello, BFFs. I have to stop myself from saying welcome back, but what else do you say to the people who keep returning? How else do you start a podcast episode? Maybe it's good to see you again, even though I can't see you and you can only see me if you're watching this on YouTube, because if you just listen to the podcast, then you're just hearing me. So good to know that you're hearing me again. Whatever. I don't know. Either way, you know what I'm saying. I see you, sis, and whoever else might be watching or listening. On the heart chakra side, I do see you. Okay, so we are back with another episode of Video Girlfriend Chat, and we are talking about what we're using these days for our periods. I am not sponsored in any way, shape, or form. I'm just sharing what I know and what I use, what I do. If any of these brands that I'm going to mention in this episode want to sponsor me, I am open, okay? Hit up the email at dearauntflo@elisamichelle.com. Before we get started, you know what we have to get into, a letter to Dear Aunt Flo. So, Dear Aunt Flo, you arrived a little later than expected last month, and I suppose I could be grateful for that since you gave me time to enjoy the weekend before and the weekend after. But you've been consistent for the past 2 years, so why switch up now? We need to get on the same page ASAP because I have a wedding to attend this month, and I don't need you creeping in past your due date, okay? Sincerely fed up, Elisa Michelle. Okay, there are a lot of different options out there now, from period underwear to cups to discs to free bleeding if you're into that kind of thing. What area do you fall under? So I am going to put up a poll for this episode, so look out for that if you come across my podcast profile on Spotify. Actually, most of my episodes have polls or question and answer sections to get the conversation going. So check that out. If you listen to the past episodes, go back, see what questions I've asked, see what polls I've put up, and interact with me. You feel me? So for the longest, I think we only had 2 options, right? It was only pads or tampons. And I dreaded tampons for the simple fact of not wanting to stick anything up inside my body. And this was before about knowing about TSS, which is toxic shock syndrome, or even what the tampons were made of. I just didn't think a foreign object should be lodged inside my vagina. So for the most part, I always stuck with pads. And yes, the bulky granny pads that swished from side to side as we walked, ran, skipped, and lifed around. I had a heavy period, so for me it made sense to have something to catch it all, like Pokemon. Minor tangent, but did you guys have Pokemon cards when you grew up? I recently found a binder full of Pokemon cards and even some holographic ones when I went back home to clean out my childhood room. And talk about nostalgia, but are they worth anything yet? Because your girl could use some extra coins. Anyway, tangent off. I was a pad girl, and until recently, probably the last 5 years or so, I was an always pad girl. So this brand seemed to be the most cost-effective and efficient way to deal with my cycle. They had the longer options for nighttime. You know the purple pads. You know the purple ones I'm talking about. So they reached back to the booty, okay? They had full coverage to catch whatever went rogue at night or whatever went rogue during the day. I played soccer and I was a cheerleader growing up. So all that running around and jumping around had me anxious that I was always leaking. I don't think that I was. I'm probably sure I did at some point, but I didn't want to feel that way. So I thought that pads were the most like coverage that you can possibly have. I also tried Kotex, but mostly because the commercials were always leaning towards them being good for women in sports and active ladies. And then I started wearing tampons because I realized it was a less messy version of the pad. And I could get away with like just feeling a little more free to do things and move around. But ultimately, always was my go-to brand. And then as I started developing issues in 2018, I began researching everything. So one of the first things, what was causing this newfound problem, right? Because I wasn't having these issues as a teenager. And I'm talking about all the bloating and the inflammation and like the heavy bleeding. So I wasn't having those problems before. So what was causing it and why now? So one of the first things I learned was to switch up my pads, the period pads, the feminine products, the sanitary napkins, whatever you used to call them, switch them up. So I could no longer stomach using the tampons because of how inflamed and bloated my body was becoming. And after that red wedding fiasco in November 2018, I vowed off tampons forever. Now, if you missed that story, spoiler alert, I am not talking about the horrific scene in Game of Thrones, but an almost horrific scene of my period acting out at a friend's wedding. I talk about it in detail in episode 2. I think it's called My Endo Journey Part 1. But yeah, I was hearing a lot of things about how toxic period pads were and how they're linked to all these issues that women were starting to experience, and cervical cancer and PCOS and fibroids and endometriosis and endo, heavy excessive bleeding, and so many other things. It was like a light bulb went off over my head like they do in the cartoons, like bing. And then I was like, oh, wait. So after learning that cotton, 100% cotton was the way to go, or free bleeding, again, if you're into that kind of thing, I was determined to find a 100% cotton pad that wasn't going to cause cancer and hopefully get my bleeding under control. And like, when you think about these things, you expect for products that women or anyone have to wear on a regular basis, a regular, reoccurring, consistent basis would be good for your body, would be healthy, would not be detrimental to your health, would not harm you in any way. So we don't ever think about like what we're wearing, even our clothes, but that's a whole nother topic. But like, it's not just what we're eating and ingesting or what we're breathing. Like, it's also what we're wearing, like what we're putting on our skin, what is getting absorbed into our bloodstream. So keep that in mind. So all of that research led me to go on a mission, and I found a few options to consider. So I stumbled across a new brand at the time, Honey Pot, a Black woman-owned brand. Hello. That was plant-based, made with all natural ingredients. It even had a little kick to the pad. And you know, that kick, at the time I think it was like lavender or mint, like an essential oil, but it was infused into the pad to give you like a refreshing tingle. But sometimes it was just a little too overwhelming. So I backed out a little bit, and then I tried, they now have the untingly version. I don't know what it's called. They have the not infused version, so that's good. But I backed out of that for a while, and then I found Raelle, and Raelle is also a woman-owned brand. I'll provide a link to all of these brands and companies I mentioned, so you can look them up for yourself and do your own research, of course. But yeah, Raelle is also a woman-founded. And it's the main period pad that I use to this day. So they are created with all natural ingredients, clean ingredients. They're made by women, so I think that automatically gives you like a leg up in the game. And they have an even better version of those purple always pads that I swore by. And I mean, like, you get the extra long overnights, and they give you amazing coverage. I mean, from like the wall to the window to the window to the wall, like everything is covered, honey. Okay. And they're perfect for like those crazy heavy first 2 days and first 2 nights. So I'm grateful that I was able to find a pad that was good for my body and still gave me the coverage that I needed. So there's a history of like men being behind the first feminine hygiene products. And that's a problem. Like, for someone who has never experienced bleeding every single month, like, how could you possibly understand what women want or need? So, yeah. His name was Joseph Lister. He was someone who is said to pioneer the sanitary napkin space because he developed pads for Johnson & Johnson in like 1897. Brief history lesson. But anyway, Honey Pot and Rael were now on my radar, and Rael is the main company that I begrudgingly give my money to every month. And it's not like begrudgingly because I don't like them. Obviously, I love them. It's begrudgingly because I have to sit here and deal with this every single month. Like, why are pads and period products, tampons, cups, discs, like, why are they not free? Period underwear. Like, it should all be free. Like, anything that helps propel a woman forward should be free. Like, we have to do this every month. We have to bleed every month in order to bear the children and get back to business. And yet, we have to pay for it every month. So, for a brief stint, when cups and discs came into the scene, I thought that I could finally get rid of the bulky pads and have a little bit something like simpler to hold my weight in blood. But nah, B. Let's dive into my cup story real quick. Because it took 2 of these instances for me to finally throw in the towel and just stay true to the pad life. This should definitely warrant as a TMI, but y'all should also already know this by now, because whenever I share a period story, it's going to be graphic. Let me set the scene, okay? This is like BT Uncut. So picture me squatting in the bathtub like I'm about to give birth, like how they used to do it in the fields, okay? Narrator, I bet you're wondering how I got here. Story time. Okay, so it's cycle time, right? And I think I have this cup thing down because I've mastered it once during my last cycle. Once. So boom. After I showered, I put it in and I was good. You can't feel it. Like, I did all the things. I hit the right angles, got it in on like the first or second try, and I was like, bam, we're moving, okay? They say that you can sleep they say you can wear it up to 12 hours. So I'm thinking, bet, I'm going to sleep good tonight, okay? Because I don't have to worry about leaks, and then I can actually like fall asleep, because there are times during your cycle when you're trying to sleep, but part of you is still kind of awake because you're worried that something's not right. Okay. This is where things got weird. So I'm sleeping all good and shit, knowing I'm not leaking or making noise every time I move with the granny pads. I awake from my slumber about 4 a.m. Yes, dead middle of the night, because I felt something. God woke me up, actually, and was like, sis, go check yourself. So first, I was like, maybe it's the security honey pot pad that I had on just in case. And this is when, I was using the ones with the essential oils. So I was like, sometimes you feel Like the tingle makes you feel a little like you're wet, but you're not. So I was like, it's probably just that. It's just the tingles. Like, let me go check it out. So I get up. I go to the bathroom to check the cup. Only the John ain't there. So instantly, my mind goes to survival mode. And I'm like, oh, like maybe I didn't wear it to bed. Like maybe I took it out before I went to bed and I changed my mind. Nope. I was just trying to justify why the F I could not feel the little pulley thing to pull it out. And then my mind goes to freak out mode because at this point, I'm like, shoot, do I need to go to the hospital? Like, do I have to call 911? Should I wake up my peacefully sleeping boyfriend, now husband? Like, so he can freak out too and help me pull this thing out. So now I'm sweating. And I mean, like, my body is hot. Sitting on the toilet, I'm sweating. I'm trying to figure out what the F to do because my vagina just swallowed the cup. So then I start praying because God can fix this, right? All things are possible to those who believe. So doctor mode kicks in. And now I'm hovering over the toilet, performing an annual exam on myself to try to find it. And I find it. Pedo, I can't pull it out because it's slippery because blood is literally everywhere. So I'm praying hard at this point. Like I'm talking to God, like, come on, coach me through this. I don't want to be in anyone's hospital like this. Like this can't be how I leave this earth. Like what do you do? Like I can't call the ambulance to come rescue me. And like, I have this cup inside my vagina. Like, it's so embarrassing. Like, I can just imagine like the 911 call being recorded and then just like plastered out into the world for everyone to hear as a like, I don't know, warning story or something. Anyway, so now I'm like, I got to get in the tub, okay? Because I need the space and the angles and the capacity to accommodate this bloodbath that's about to happen. So boom, I get in the tub. I'm still praying hard. I find it again, but I still can't get a grip. So this time it moved a little bit and I had to like adjust positions and squat like I'm giving birth in a field of nightmares. So finally I get a grip. And I mean, my whole hand at this point is inside my vagina. So if you're wondering how babies get birthed, things can happen. Okay. Yeah. So I finally get a grip and then I'm able to remove it, like slowly pull it out. And like it's also suctioned. So that was the weirdest thing I've ever experienced. And I've never thanked God so hard in my life. I'm also probably never wearing a cup again. At least I'm not sleeping with one. So yeah, that's my cup story. Let's take a moment of silence because only me. I feel like these are one of those things where like only me, only this would happen to me. Like I was so embarrassed. Like whose vagina just swallows up an entire object? And now y'all know why I don't care for those tampons. Like I thought it would be different. But yeah, no more cups for me. I tried the disc because they say like if you have like a high cervix, maybe the disc is better, or I don't know. Either way, it only lasted like 20 minutes of me trying the disc. And then I was too I was too full of trauma to like, or too traumatized to keep it in. So I just took it out immediately and just went back to pads. So FYI, because I did Google things as well. So if for any reason you wear a cup and it gets stuck up there, just know that it's in there. Like it can't go anywhere else in your body. Tip number 1, can't go anywhere else. So if it's stuck, but you can't get to it, it's there. You just have to like, breathe. So what the advice that's given is you have to breathe to relax your muscles. And then you can either try to like pretend you're pooping to get it to come down, like to bear down. Or if you're breathing enough to relax, it should move down on its own to the point where you can like go in and do the rest of the job. Okay, so back to pads. I started using this other brand called Rain pads, which sometimes their company name is, oh gosh, I can't think of it right now. It's like Rain sanitary napkins, but there's another name for them. And when I think of it, I'll put it in the show notes. But anyway, my sister-in-law recommended them to me, and I use them on my lighter days. So they have like a graphene-infused strip, and they provide various health benefits that improve your circulation and cell activity and support healthy metabolism. But yeah, I use them towards the end of my cycle when I'm a little lighter. And because they're thinner pads, they hold a lot. Like they're very absorbent. But I don't need them when I am heavy, so I use them when I'm lighter. The only like flaw that I find with these like organic natural pads is that they only come in a pack of like 8 to 10, which is like, I need more. I definitely need more because I can go through a pack in like a few days. So I do wish more came in a pack, but like, whereas like Always and Kotex, like you can get a pack of like 36 or 48, but that just goes to show you how like cheaper things with bad ingredients are made. So I take the L for the health benefits, even though I'm probably paying more because, you know, they're a bit more expensive for the smaller pack, but the benefits again outweigh the cost of everything. Anyway, that's that. You can look up all of these brands. Again, if any of these brands listen to my podcast or watch my YouTube video, feel free to send me an email. I would love to shout you out. That's Rael and Rain. And there's other ones like Femly is a good brand, and Honey Pot, obviously. But yeah, be mindful of what you're putting on your body and in your body. But just be mindful, more mindful of it, because it makes a difference. I can't say that like my life has changed, obviously, because I'm still dealing with the bullshit that comes with endometriosis, but think of it as like it's been, 15 plus years of bad choices that I'm trying to rectify in like 5 or 20 plus years of bad choices that I'm trying to rectify in 5 years. So yeah. Let's do our affirmation for this episode. I know I can overcome adversity because I have all the tools that I need to succeed. So say it with me. I know I can overcome adversity because I have all the tools that I need to succeed. Yes, you do, friend. Okay, BFF. I see you, sis. And others. Seriously though, thank you so much for rocking with me, y'all. I mean, we are 8 episodes deep now. Okay, we are deep. You have a lot. You've learned and heard a lot about my vagina, and I'm so grateful for you for listening or watching if you're on YouTube. Yeah, like, I hope that you're getting so much out of me sharing my story. I hope that is bringing you a little piece of hope within your own journey. I hope that it is answering questions that you might have. And I hope that it is just like opening up your mind to being more transparent and comfortable with speaking about your periods, because they're not a taboo thing to talk about. We just got to talk about it more, you know? if something makes you uncomfortable, you do more of it. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Yes, it's hard to tell that to an introvert like myself, but here I am sharing my vagina monologue stories. But yeah, seriously, thank you so much for rocking with me. I appreciate it. If you're not already, follow me on the pod, or follow the pod on Instagram at dearauntflo.pod. If you're listening, you can also watch me on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you can also listen to me on Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts or Google Podcasts, which is now YouTube Podcasts. Everything be switching up, man, I tell ya. Anyway, I love you. I see you. I hear you. And peace. Hey BFFs, thanks for tuning in to Dear Aunt Flo. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to show support, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. This will help more period BFFs find our community and add to the conversation. Follow on IG at dearauntflo.pod and let me know what topics you'd like to cover this season. Catch you in the next episode, period.